Ichimon Japan is made possible in part by Patreon support. And I'd like to say thank you to our newest patron, Pekka R. Thank you so much. I had a wonderful interaction with you via the Patreon direct messages. Thank you so much for joining. It was wonderful getting to talk to you and learn a little bit about you. And if you, the listener, want to become as awesome and incredible as all the wonderful patrons that are supporting this show, that you could go over to JapanKyo.com/Patreon. You can join for as little as $1 a month. Every little bit helps immensely. You can also just do a one-time donation over at ko-fi.com/JapanKyo. That's ko-fi.com/JapanKyo. Thank you so much, and let's get to the show. When you go in the shower and you don't want to get your hair wet, you put on your shampoo hat, right? And then when you're done in the shower, you take off your shampoo hat.
But isn't the whole point you're not using shampoo in that case? You're keeping your hair dry so that you don't have to go through the whole process?
It's a magic hat, man. It's a magic shampoo hat, right? Welcome to Ichimon Japan. I'm Tony.
And I'm Ryan.
And once again, we're joined by our good friend Kyle.
Hello, I'm Kyle.
Hey guys. Hey Kyle. So Kyle, of course, some of you may know him from the Tokyo Explosion podcast. All others may know him from his incredible work on the recently released JapanKyo Docs YouTube channel, which we're working on together. Yay!
Yeah.
So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, hey, it's always a pleasure to have you, and it's another excuse to talk about JapanKyo Docs, which if you haven't already, please go subscribe and go check out our videos.
You're trying to dox Tokyo?
That's right.
We're doxing.
Tony and I are on a mission, and we won't sleep until it's done.
No
everyone who lives there, or the city itself?
Yep. Everybody's
exactly. Yes.
We're releasing everybody's my number. There's a katakana word for you.
There you go.
So we are talking about katakana, but I should introduce the question. So Ichimon means one question, and every episode we ask one question about Japan or the Japanese language. And today's question is, what katakana words do you hate?
Basically all of them.
So first I'll give some context for the question, and then we'll dive into some fun katakana words. So first of all, hate is a strong word. I don't think, at least myself, I can't say that I really hate any. I can't think of any off the top of my head. A lot of these may be a little bit annoying or very amusing or funny in some way. Yeah, but it's just, you got to ask the question, and we got to put it in a certain way. And also, this was inspired by a certain tweet that we found on Twitter. Where else are you going to find tweets, right?
I just found it one day while going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I found the tweet in the bathroom. It was just
That's cute.
Just picked up a tweet off the floor. Somebody had printed it out and just left it there.
Just pasted it to the wall.
Yeah. Bathroom tweet graffiti.
Analog tweets.
So I just came across a tweet, and it was a really interesting thread that came out of that. A lot of people, putting their own suggestions for just words that annoyed them in some way about Japanese. And just a little bit of context. I think pretty much anybody listening to this podcast knows this already, but katakana is one of the three main writing systems in Japanese, and it's usually the one people use to write words from foreign origins. There are slight exceptions here or there, but for the most part, if it's a word that came from abroad, like hamburger for hamburger, it's written in katakana and not the other writing alphabet.
Unless the word came from Chinese, then it's special.
Yeah, then Chinese is special, and there's a whole lot of Chinese and Japanese, but no katakana for Chinese. So the point is, this tweet I thought was a really good kind of conversation starter, and I wanted to discuss some of the things that were brought up in the tweet, as well as have us bring up some of our own. So let's just start with the tweet, and we'll take it from there. So Ryan, would you mind reading this tweet that was by Chris Walsh And I will include his tweet and the account in the show notes in case you want to go check out the thread and follow Chris.
Okay. He said, after a discussion with my wife, I want to ask you guys, what katakana-ified word do you hate most? And then his first answer of his own was, he says, mine is huaito. Why the ho? He has his wife's too. Do you want to discuss huaito, or should we?
Yeah. Well, let's just do the other one and we'll discuss them all at the same time.
My wife's is haro. One of the first words most would learn in English. Hero is imperfect, but at least closer.
Okay, so
I have to say I very much agree with his wife, because like my students, when I walk by them in the hallway, we greet each other and I say hello, and no joke, dozens of times I've heard them like mumble to themselves like hero janai. And it's like yeah, they teach you the first thing wrong.
It's the same reason why you shouldn't learn Japanese in Romaji, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or like written in Romaji or in katakana. Like a lot of these Japanese English dictionaries will have the pronunciation in katakana or the textbooks as well, which is awful. It's like katakana is the Japanese language. That's fine. Like if you're speaking Japanese, like you're gonna say hamburger, you gotta say it that way. But
you're gonna say hamburger. There's no way around it.
Exactly. But
like
if you're gonna speak English,
word becomes a 4-syllable word for the pronunciation key.
Yeah. So Kyle, I'm sure you've gotten the haro plenty too, right? So
I love haro. I think it's nice.
Yeah. We've all been through that, but like
sorry. Wait, we're supposed to be driving outrage for clicks, right?
Yeah.
Haro is an attack on our values, and we need to stand up. It's on the list with Tokyo. After we dox Tokyo, Haro is next.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So let's bring in the slightly I guess you could say linguistic perspective here, and I want to just explain a little bit of something here. So first of all, I do agree that hello is closer to hero, like a he instead of a haro, right? I do agree with that, but when we think about how we say hello normally when we're just speaking the language normally, a lot of times you don't even hear the vowel between the H and the L. You just kind of say hello, 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 right? Or like it's not like you're really saying hello, right? You're not enunciating in that super clear. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. You have to make sure you can hear both the L's in there.
Right. Hello. Or hello.
Nice.
You have to pronounce every single letter. But the reality is that when we're speaking English, we're not pronouncing things how it's spelled, because spelling is super misleading, and it's just this kind of thing that we all agreed upon, but language kept changing after we agreed upon it, or in some cases it never accurately reflected it at all.
That is true, but I still feel like ha is very far from the sound. I think it's more of like a schwa. It's like hello when you say it quick.
Yeah,
hello.
That's why schwa. So it's but like an unaccented vowel. Yeah, which is why I do think that the he is still closer to the h, right, than ha. But when you hear these three things out of context, you go like, it's not that different, right? Like ha, he, ha. Like, so I get how it's an easy jump to a haro. I don't know who the heck did that. There's probably no way to know. Right? But I get how this jump would happen.
And probably from Tokyo. That's why we have to dox them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just, it is one of those things. I think when in the classroom they shouldn't be teaching haro, but it is what it is. As for huaito, I'm sure we've all heard huaito, right? I think there's some character that's like huaito bear or something like that, but I can't remember. But yeah, huaito means white, right? And from what I can tell, I did read a little bit about this. It seems like huaito probably came from the British English, because British English had a bigger influence early on, before, American English started having more of an influence. And it seems like, especially back then, the h sound was a little bit more accentuated. Maybe, so I know some speakers still accentuated in English as well. And so probably, well, not to the Hawaii, like, not to that extent, but maybe that's where they picked up the extra whole, when in reality all you really need is the waito to get something a little bit closer to how most American English speakers at least would say it these days. So Hawaito. So yeah, like I've certainly thought like, oh my god, like why is it Hawaito? It should be white. But when you dig a little bit deeper, sometimes there's a little bit of a reason there.
Yeah, that one, the history of these makes sense, but
yeah. So we're gonna discuss more of these words that came up in the discussion, but one of the things that influences how these words turn into katakana words is like when they came into the language and how they came into the language. Sometimes, like I said, it's like the British English influencing from like a long time ago, or other times it can be marketing and certain companies that get involved. And Kyle, like you said, you came across something that like at least in more modern times may be influencing the way some of these katakana words are formed.
Yeah. So my wife and I were talking about, my wife is Japanese, and I was asking her just kind of like, are there authority structures that like process this stuff? There must be at some point when they enter, say, a dictionary, for example, they need to come to a kind of formalized consensus of what these words are. And she found a work group that's a subcommittee of the Ministry of Cultural Affairs in Japan. And she even found meeting notes of where they're talking about introducing new katakana words into the official lexicon, I guess you would say, the official proper use of certain katakana words. So there is a government structure to this stuff at some point in the line.
Yeah. Especially like when it comes to trading, like, international trade, or like patents and things like that. I guess that's where a lot of these things probably get their first official kind of seal of approval.
I see. I'm just looking at these notes. It's all in formal Japanese. I can't read a lot of it, at least not quickly on the fly. But I see one thing they're discussing is multiple choice becoming maruchoi. So there you have it, like birth of a new combination.
I never heard. Yeah, I never heard maruchoi. Oh, that sounds kind of cute. I'm down with maruchoi.
And mass communication, they're discussing masukomi.
Yeah, masukomi does get used already. Yeah, that's been used for a while. But yeah, like another thing that we see a lot is exactly what you're pointing out. These longer, which I don't know, mass communication. I mean, that can be English, but I don't think that we use mass media to refer to what mass communication or masukomi refers to in English. So even that's a little bit of a waseigo, like a fabricated English sounding term in English. But
I think some people with like degrees, certain degrees, I think are called mass communication in the US.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
like
that.
Telecommunication or mass communication, or once you get into like, using technology and multimedia for communication, there's kind of a gray area there. Do you call it broadcasting? Do you call it telecommunication? Then it gets confusing because there's like telecommunication engineers, and there's the people working on like the actual content creation type side of telecommunication.
Right. Okay, so then that could have been originally been English, so maybe. Although, yeah, like the way in Japanese, as far as I can tell, it seems to have just taken on the meaning of mass media, the way that we would say that. So. But my larger point was that like a lot of times these words get shortened into these 4-syllable things, right? So mass communication turns into masukomi, and then multiple choice or multiple choice becomes maruchoi.
And you can see why. Just hearing you try to say the full word just then.
Like Ryan said right now, like sexual harassment becomes sekuhara. right? Nice and easy, nice 4 letter word, right? So and then that, even though it's katakana, if you've never heard it before, it can be completely confusing to a speaker of English. And then sometimes the Japanese speaker will even go, "Wait, but that's English, don't you understand?" And you're like, "Well, it's not English anymore."
Yep, it's taken on a whole new life.
Yeah. So there's definitely some people in the top levels deciding like, we're gonna call this, and then I assume sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But like one example that I can think of, I'm not sure all the details on this, but during the whole early stage of the corona pandemic, all that stuff, there was this word overshoot, overshoot, which as far as I can, from my memory, it's the meaning is like when the medical system is overloaded, right? So the average English speaker would not understand overshoot to mean that, right? To overshoot something is like you were trying to throw
overestimate almost.
Yeah, exactly. You were trying to throw a football at a tire and you instead hit your friend who was sitting behind it. Like you overshot that football.
Nice shoot though.
Yeah, nice shoot though. That's another katakana word. Yeah, shoot. But the Japanese is like that doesn't mean that. It just means to overload the medical system. And so that seems to have come from like some medical paper or some academic paper, but they slightly changed the meaning. And so it ended up being this other thing that the average Japanese person didn't understand. So then they decided to stop using that because it was too difficult to understand. So yeah, not good mass communication perhaps there. But Ryan, can you read another one of these tweets of the ones that Chris wrote for us?
Tweet number 3. I just remembered Wien for Vienna, which just shows why katakana for foreign words is so wrong. And there is no way I can think of writing it closer to the German. I don't know how you say it in German. I think it'd be Wien.
No, so this isn't one of those that I think, in my opinion, the Japanese kind of got it more close to the original German than we do in English.
In German, though, if it's written with a W, it should be Wien, right?
I listened to the whatever was on YouTube. How do you pronounce Vienna? And it sounded like Wien, or something like that.
This one brings up one I wanted to mention though, because one that is a mystery to me is Argentina in katakana is Argentine. Because as you were saying, yes, for most country names, they're either based on that country's language and are therefore closer. Yeah. Like Germany is not like Germany or something. It's Deutsch, which is based on Deutschland. So yeah, good job, Japanese.
Makes sense. Yeah, but it's I get where it comes from. At least.
Yeah. Or it's based on the English word.
Yeah.
However, Argentina is Argentine, which is not the English nor the Argentinian pronunciation.
Yeah. And I mean, Argentina would be Argentina.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. I don't know. Argentine. That's a weird one.
I have another German one that threw me for a loop for a long time. The movie theater in Shinjuku in the Matsuri department store is spelled WALD numeral 9. And I always called it Wald 9. But I just recently saw, because I went there and on my receipt it said Boruto 9.
Yeah, it's German.
Because it's in German it's like gold, right? But then in katakana it has to become a B sound.
Yeah.
So it's bald 9. I was saying it wrong for like 5 years.
Yeah. It's really interesting how you don't know sometimes that this is from like another language until you see the katakana.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, this is an English.
So in a way, the katakana is actually easier to understand phonetically.
Yeah. There are definitely times like that. Yeah. So yeah, Wien, like Vienna. But Vienna sausages, which in English, the little sausages, are called Wiener, right? In Japanese.
Mm.
And then
that shows us where the word wiener for a sausage came from.
Right. So it all comes from the Vienna, right? The Wien, however you pronounce it in German. But yeah, again, Vienna and Wien, I still think the katakana kind of got it closer, but yeah, neither get it exactly because that's just how it is. You're not going to get it exactly.
Okay, so what about Argentine?
Argentine, yeah, I don't know about that, man.
No
I don't know
answer.
where that came from.
I have a friend who's Argentinian. I'll have to message him and get back to you.
Yeah, he's like Argentine.
I feel like they were like writing like the letters in boxes like on a test, and they just ran out of space. And like, whatever, they don't get the A anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Argentina. Just trying to sound this out of my head, but I guess the chin just kind of, it's a little bit shorter than the na. So
my guess is it's the Dutch pronunciation being katakanified.
Oh.
So what do Dutch people call? Because that was the early trade was with Dutch people, right?
True. That's possible.
Yeah, but how often were they talking about Argentina back then?
Oh, all the time, man.
That was like the hot topic.
Yeah, choripan was really big back then.
No, but did choripan deep cut, man? Like, I think most listeners did get that, but it's delicious. Choripan. Anyway, but I was gonna ask, but if they're interacting with the Dutch and we're talking like Edo period, did Argentina even exist back then?
I'm not positive when it started, but yeah.
Good question.
Like,
don't question it. You're too far down the rabbit
hole. Okay, so the clairvoyant Dutch gave the Japanese a map of the world from like the like late 1800s after South America managed to get its independence from Spain. And then the Japanese had to work really hard to translate that into katakana for countries that didn't exist yet. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle. We got
okay.
that.
I figured it out.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was reading something. What was the answer?
You missed it. There's no going back now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, because something interesting. I was trying to find out when Argentina was founded. Apparently, even though it's a Spanish-speaking country, the name Argentina actually came from Italian.
Oh, okay.
But in Italian, it's still Argentina, so I don't.
So close yet so far.
Yeah. Yep, I mean, hey, that's interesting. It came from Italian.
Yeah, I didn't know that. All right, well, we learned something. Okay, so
Europeans first got there in 1502, so the Dutch could have been talking about it.
It's plausible. Okay, yeah. All right, so maybe they were not clairvoyant.
Yeah, maybe some Dutch dudes just like went there and then went straight to Japan. Like, hey guys, we just went to this neat place.
Yeah, it's not impossible, but also probably not likely.
I just checked on Google Translate. The Dutch pronunciation of Argentina is Argentinia.
So that's that. Okay.
So basically, this Dutch theory still holds up. It's just the Japanese people they interacted with had really bad hearing.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of true though, because like think, the modern, Japanese speaker, like even if they can't speak English, at least they're exposed to it, right? But back then, like your average Japanese person had never heard anything like that. So it's certainly plausible to just think that they would be even worse at trying to come up with something fairly like accurate to the original language. So I'm okay with that theory for the time being until somebody proves me wrong. So
in your research of this stuff, did you find out when katakana was adopted? Are you going to talk about that later?
No, I mean katakana has been around for a very long time, like long before this. It's just that like usage has evolved over the centuries. And I'm not exactly sure when it just kind of became purely standard for, using foreign words become this, because it was different times they used it in slightly different ways. So I can't give a super detailed answer on that.
I mean, you just have to imagine a lot of times when people moved to the US, when they immigrated there, their names just changed because whoever was on Ellis Island, like filling out the paperwork, that's your name now. Yeah, so if they're like importing goods, like I have these sausages, where are they from? And they say Vienna really quickly. And the guy's like, I guess this is kind of close. Maybe in some cases, that's how that became the word.
Absolutely.
They're from Vienna. Okay, we're going to call them wieners.
Yeah.
But they're called Vienna. No, they're wieners now.
They're wieners now. Sorry. I don't make the rules. Actually, I do. I just did, but it's too late. I can't undo it.
Yeah, it's done now. I stamped it. Yeah, in our episode about famous Japanese dogs, I brought up how there used to be this term for dogs, and we're talking probably like Edo period here, maybe late Edo period. I can't remember exactly, but kame inu. And kame, of course, normally when you hear kame, you think turtle, right? And then inu means dog. But kame inu used to mean dog. And the theory is that kame came from maybe like British or maybe even Dutch, I'm not sure, but saying come here to their dogs. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. That evolved into kame or kame inu because some Japanese, according to the theory, thought that come here meant dog in that language, either English or Dutch.
Oh, wow.
Again, theory, but this is something that actually existed according to like a scholarly book that I read that I mentioned in that episode. So yeah, like if this is true, again, this is just an example we're talking about. They just hear it one way and then it just kind of stays and that's what it is. And yeah, so kame inu at some point meant dog, and probably most Japanese people don't know that these days, but used to be the case.
Can I ask, like, so are we going to discuss our most personal, most hated ones now or later? Because that just reminded me of mine.
We can do that now, and then we can jump into some of the other suggestions.
Well, I'll just throw out mine then, because that reminded me. My most hated one is "come on."
Oh yeah.
Because it comes from "come on," and it does not mean "come on."
Yeah.
It basically means "come here." Now, "come on" is very, very diverse in what it can mean in English.
True. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, but it almost never means "come here."
Yeah.
But that's what all of my students think it means, and because they think it's normal English, they'll always be like, "Ryan, come on."
That's like, a very good one. Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean that. I guess this is more of a meaning than a pronunciation thing, so never mind.
Yeah, well, it's a very contextual thing, and they only get one slight meaning of the larger, more dynamic word. So that's very misleading and confusing for them, and can be annoying for us. So, yeah.
I have one kind of like that.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't hate any of these. Like the tweet, I think using the word hate was smart because, that drives clicks or whatever. I find it mostly amusing, sometimes a little perplexing, but it's kind of just a fun little language thing. But like, donmai for don't mind. Like in sports, if somebody messes up, their teammates will say, don't mind, to get them like, don't worry about that mistake.
Yeah.
Just keep playing the game.
Yeah.
In English, that's not like we might say like, don't mind the haters or something. But we wouldn't just say like, don't mind, right, or don't worry.
Yeah, it would be definitely don't worry, right?
Yeah. Don't mind that. I don't mind that. That's how you would know.
Yeah, or I don't mind. Yeah. Certain things, but they just say don't mind, like don't worry.
Yeah, and that's another one of those four-letter words. Donmai, right? Again, shortened down.
Yeah.
And I'll throw in one here. And this one is I think one of my favorites. Like
no,
in
you
general,
have to hate it.
Just
that's the clickbait, man.
So this is one of my I despise this word. It like I get like just acid reflux like when I think about it.
Yeah.
Like it's just
veins popping on your face.
Yes. It's just absolutely a disgusting word, and that word is shampoo hatto. Okay, so
shampoo hat.
So to pronounce it in a more English way, shampoo hat, right? Your shampoo hat. And what a shampoo hat is a shower cap, right? So when you go in the shower and you don't want to get your hair wet, you put on your shampoo hat, right? And then when you're done in the shower, you take off your shampoo hat.
But isn't the whole point you're not using shampoo in that case? You're keeping your hair dry so that you don't have to go through the whole process?
It's a magic hat, man. It's a magic shampoo hat, all right?
Oh, I wish it was magic hat.
Magic hat. I have one more that I've noticed a lot recently. It's not really katakana, but the use of just the letter W for double.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of fast food menus and stuff. If you're getting a double size, they'll just put the Roman the romaji. What do you call
for
it?
W, the letter
For W. And because probably the katakana pronunciation for W in double is basically the same.
Yeah.
I assume we're all like around the same generation, but
Yeah.
I remember when I first learned that W meant double in Japanese, that suddenly Final Fantasy VII's W item like finally made sense to me.
I never played FF7. It's a big blind spot of mine.
Yeah.
No,
but
the rest of the world
happens.
understands that reference, I think.
Well, I think they have to be like 30 now.
Yeah. Or maybe they played the remake or something, but yeah, no, that definitely happens whether it's in games or other things, like after you learn a bit of Japanese, you learn like these little things that were in the games. You go, oh, that's what that meant. Okay, I get it now. But at the times, like you don't, I think like I think there's a Street Fighter Plus Alpha, isn't there? Right? Isn't there something like that?
Alpha in Japanese was Street Fighter Zero.
Okay. Never mind. EX Alpha. Anyway, yeah, never mind.
I think there was a Street Fighter, maybe Alpha Plus, like one of the. I don't know. Like there's a whole bunch of like re-releases of it, but I do know that in Japanese that was Street Fighter Zero. Because Street Fighter has just like renaming everything forever.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, that happens, definitely happens a lot. Like afterwards, you realize it. So, let's take a break here, and then we'll go back into the tweets, and maybe we'll share a few more of us because I mean, there's just so many to talk about these katakana words. So let's take a quick break. Hey, it's commercial time! Woo woo woo! Commercial time with Kyle, featuring Kyle. So, Kyle, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are working on a YouTube channel called JapanKyo Docs. Right?
Yes.
And
about doxing the entire city of Tokyo.
Yes. No, it's actually just short documentaries about interesting people in Japan, and Kyle does amazing like job putting these together. And so, Kyle, I think Ryan hasn't watched any of our videos yet,
and I never will.
True? Oh my God, Kyle!
Ryan, we made these for you. These were made specifically for you to learn.
That changes nothing.
To learn where all these people live in Tokyo, so that you have their personal information and can use it to blackmail them.
Oh, I can even sell it to advertisers. I like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of personal information in there, some clues to their like password hints and stuff. So then you can build your database of personal information about Japanese people as part of our mission of doxing the whole city of Tokyo.
You're just like walking down the street asking everyone their mother's maiden name.
Yeah, pretty much. So these videos, basically, we found a guy with a really cool pompadour, big old pompadour, and we went to his house and we got his social security number, his address, his credit card number, his my number, of course. Yeah.
His YouTube channel password. We also have his YouTube channel password. Yeah.
So that's what these videos are. It's a private, personal information about people living in Japan.
Yeah. Like the guy, the emu rancher that we interviewed, he has guns. So we put where to find his guns too.
Yeah.
Like it's all hidden there. So if you watch carefully, Ryan, it's a treasure trove of information. You can make a lot of money from this.
The combination code to his gun safe is in there.
Yeah. And we really appreciate, all we ask for in return is a subscribe. Maybe you can hit the notification bell. Of course, you can like the video. You can leave a comment. You can say, oh, I already found my number in this one, so no need to look, guys. You can just let people know.
Yeah, so share resources in the comments.
Yeah. And we've released 4 or 5 videos by the time of the release of this, but we're planning on releasing videos monthly. So new people are going to be doxed every month.
There's a lot of people to dox. This is going to be a long series.
Yeah.
I know. It is.
And I got bad news for you guys. I think more than one person is born every month, so this might go on forever.
Well, that's the perfect scheme. Yeah. There's so much money to be made here. Yeah. Well, we never run out of content, and the scammers will have just every month a new treasure trove.
Yeah.
So Ryan, get in on this. There aren't that many people yet, but this is going to blow up. So we I think maybe after we're done recording, you can go check it out.
Yeah, get in on the ground floor.
All right. So JapanKyo.com.
Buy a
once again-
JapanKyo coin.
Yeah, JapanKyo coin. We're
Get
going to
there
the moon,
early.
baby.
It's actually worth something.
Yeah. JapanKyo.com/YT. We're starting with the YouTube channel.
Do you have NFTs?
Once we not yet, but everything little by little we're building.
Oh,
we're
it's not even the ground floor. We're in the basement.
Yeah. This is top secret stuff that, this is an opportunity. This is generation changing wealth. Okay. Your kids are going to be destroying Lambos just for fun. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be called the JapanKyo Barons because they have so much money from JapanKyo coin.
Okay. All right. So again, link in the show notes, guys. Yeah, this was absolutely ridiculous, but the point is we are doing a YouTube channel that I'm really proud of. Please go check out the content. There's some serious, actual, genuine stuff over there. The way that I'd like to put it is it's something like you might see on NHK World, just really nice interviews with really interesting people. So japankyo.com/YT, you can go check it out. JapanKyo Docs. Ryan will be subscribing, so please go join him in doing that. All right. Back to the show.
Welcome back. There was no transition. We're still just right here, guys.
Okay, we're just going to go
commercial
from
was
there.
not recorded separately. That was immediately before this, just in case
It's an illusion. All right. Kyle, would you mind reading another one of these tweets that was in the original thread by Chris Walsh?
I think we're at tweet 4.
Yes.
Looking through them.
Okay, tweet 4 is the next one, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that tweet is, and bucketsu, even for one bucket. Buckets.
There's
a bunch of these.
Yeah, a bunch of random, is it plural or is it singular? Like shatsu, t-shatsu.
Mm.
Yeah. Shirt becomes shatsu. Yeah. Or soksu is sock or socks. It can
Socks
be either
makes
one.
sense because they're usually in a pair.
Yes.
But
yes.
buckets and shirts, usually it's just one.
Yeah.
Tacos have to be plural too.
Yes.
Here's
tacos.
yeah. That's another one of my. I really like that one. Takosu, but taco is octopus. So
it has motivation, but it still does blow the mind of everyone I know when I say if it's one, it's just taco.
Yeah, it's always tacos.
Okay? Yeah.
But taco rice is taco rice, right? Not tacos rice.
It's taco rice.
Exactly. Yep. And I don't know the exact details on all that, but my assumption here is taco rice, which is basically like a rice bowl, but with taco-ish ingredients.
Thank you for saying taco-ish.
I enjoy it. Yeah, it is taco-ish. It's not exactly like something you'd find in Mexico or anything, but nevertheless, I do enjoy a nice bowl of taco rice. It's good. It's delicious. That comes from Okinawa.
Okay.
So my assumption here is that taco rice came from interaction with the U.S. military in Okinawa, and takosu came from mainland Japan.
Probably.
So you have the same word kind of being interpreted two different ways, and how tacos came into Japan, I have no idea. But I think that's why you end up with the two different versions of this.
That could explain a lot of these inconsistencies. Why I think a tweet later on in the replies to this tweet mentioned beer is biru, but beer garden is bia-garden.
Yes, yes.
Depending on its usage, beer will be either biru or bia.
Yeah. I have
I'll go. Another one I know like that is machine became both machine and mishin, depending on what kind it is.
Super good point there. Mishin usually refers to sewing machine.
Yeah, but it's still the word machine.
Yeah, but that's the origin would be machine, I guess, or machine. That I didn't look into the origin of that because I totally overlooked it, but that is a very good example. Mishin. Yeah, that is, I like the first time you hear that, you go what why Mishin? Oh, machine, I guess. Beer, that's another interesting one. And the best explanation that I can come up with that is that the original word for beer, biru with a long E, probably was around for a very long time, maybe Edo period, interaction with the Dutch and all that, probably centuries now.
No, it was from the Egyptians.
The Egyptians.
They came to Japan a lot.
Goes back even further.
Yeah. The
So
Egyptians,
beer was
when they,
made in Egypt, and the first country they brought it to was Japan. They skipped
Yep.
over all of Asia, so
Yep.
straight to Japan. Like, hey guys, check this out.
yeah,
Also,
and
there's
when
gonna be
they
this
arrived,
country over there. Call it Argentine. Don't call it Argentina.
oh my god. And when the Egyptians arrived in Japan, they said, "This is called super dry." Okay, but anyway, so beer, old word, centuries in Japan. Beer garden, and for example, beer daru, which means beer barrel, which is biya, not biiru. I'm assuming those words were probably created or imported in more modern times. So maybe that's why they went with a somewhat more accurate sound. Whereas biru, for whatever reason, in the old days, they just decided this is what it's going to be. And I wouldn't be surprised if biru actually has kanji, because it's probably that old. Like really old ones often have kanji as well. So, yeah. But there's a whole bunch of those, and the plural ones too. Yeah, like I said, it's not baketo, like for bucket, it's buckets. So it sounds plural to our ears, even though it doesn't necessarily have to be that. All right, Kyle, would you mind reading another one?
Oh yeah, I'm going to butcher this. Some of these katakana pronunciations are pretty tough.
Yeah,
so
we'll give it a shot.
This one encountered one today. What language is toryufu from? For truffle, I think.
Yeah, truffle. Yeah,
toryufu.
Yeah.
Like the and you together like that is very difficult for me to pull off.
Yeah. You want to say toryuf, like combine them, but they're not.
Yeah. Toryuf, and that's truffle. Which I did look up the French pronunciation, and it's something like truf or something like that. But
yeah,
I can't say it. So that is an example of. I do think the toryuf is a bit closer to the original French than the truffle, right? Like, yeah.
I think you're going to talk about this, but like English does this stuff all the time. Yeah, with French words in particular, like there's a long list of French words that we just completely butchered. I grew up in Indiana, it's a very small town of Bluffton, Indiana. There's a state park that's spelled the French spelling of Wabash, but everybody there calls it Obachi because of how it's spelled. Like if you call it Wabash, like my mom used to call it Wabash because she was like a nerd about this kind of stuff, but everybody was just like, "What are you talking about? It's Obachi State Park."
Oh,
it's spelled Ouabache or something like that.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, but that happens a lot. Yeah, in English, there's so many like centuries old words, like beef and pork and poultry, like all these words that were originally like French from the time, have turned into English, and a lot of us don't even know it. But yeah, we butcher these words too. So anyway, happens in every language.
Yeah, so toryufu is closer than truffle to the actual pronunciation. So we're in the wrong there, I think, as English speakers.
I think so. Yeah. Kyle, can you give us another one?
So I'm going to do paella because I know that's a hot point of contention. I have a Spanish coworker, and she's like, "There is no real paella in Japan." Like, stop calling it that. And there's also this controversy of adding things like chorizo to your paella. And that really pisses off Spanish people. So
really,
and like in Japanese,
to everything.
Oh, cheese! Don't even mention cheese. You'll get kicked out of a Spanish person's apartment. But in Japanese, it's pronounced paella. When really the Spanish pronunciation is more like paella or paella, depending on kind of your dialect.
Yes. That puzzled me the first time I heard it, because as we've been talking about, oftentimes if it's different, it's actually a little bit closer to the original language. But this is different from like both English and Spanish and so I don't know. It like you were saying in Spanish, at least in many varieties of South American Spanish, you might say paella. And maybe in Spanish, it might be pronounced paella. I'm not totally sure on that. But in Japanese, paella, it's got this ria, right? I don't know where the heck that came from. So that one, confuses me. As for paella, the food, I haven't had what I would call a proper paella in Japan. I've tried a few times and I've never found one. So the best paella that I've had has been in Miami. I have yet to go to Spain. So
I have a Spanish
sure
coworker who used some holiday funds to order an entire leg of Spanish ham because she just couldn't find authentic ham in Tokyo. So now she has a whole leg of ham.
Nice.
And I guess she'll just like slice from over the next year or however long. I don't know how long that stuff keeps.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a nice leg of ham.
They sell that in my Costco here, surprisingly.
Oh, like a whole leg?
Spanish style, yeah. Jamón serrano.
Oh, man.
Is it pre-sliced or it's the whole leg?
It comes with the knife because they assume you don't have one.
Oh, wow.
Which, I don't know what happens when you buy your second one because then you get another knife.
I'll have to tell my coworker about that and we'll see how authentic it really is. I think she shipped hers in from Spain.
Wow.
I believe it has a little like icon saying like made or shipped from Spain on it. So
like Iberico?
It's not Iberico, but it's similar.
Oh, it's just okay.
I've had both because I have been to Spain.
Yeah.
And Jamón serrano is extremely good. So is Jamón Iberico.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ryan, how about you pick another one for us? We'll do a few more, then we'll close out.
So these are like our personal ones now?
Could be a personal one, or it could be one of these random tweets.
So I don't have like a perfect example, but one of the things that actually does irritate me is just how randomly katakana-ified people's names become.
Oh, okay. There's So there's an example in the tweets, but yeah, go ahead.
There's one example is Ashley, which they made Ashide for some reason. Mm-hmm. And this happens a lot. So I watch a lot of movies, and usually because I'm in Japan, they have Japanese subtitles, and I like read them just to like see how they translate things.
Yeah.
And it is completely random, like how people's names become Japanified. Some of them are like already decided if it's a really common name, like John or Marcus or something. But when it's like a name they're not accustomed to, where there's a small tsu, where there's an elongated vowel, has no connection either to spelling or pronunciation. It's like, I'll just stick this long vowel here for some reason.
Yeah. That is tricky. And when it's a creative name, I think there's probably like a period of like maybe 2 or 3 different versions of the name, and then maybe eventually a consensus is reached. But some of these, I mean, just in the tweets, there were a couple. There was Ashley, like you mentioned, which the Japanese would be Ashure, would be the standard writing of it, even though you would think it would be Ashuri. The only thing that I would add to that is that, while yes, I do agree that Ashuri is closer. Like, I guess what they're going for with Ashure is the fact that Ashley, the Lee isn't accented, so it doesn't sound as strongly. And for example, like Bruce Lee, right? The Lee is clearly accented there. You're not talking about Ash Lee, right? You're talking about Ashley.
You don't have to elongate it then. Just make it Ashley, like shortly.
I agree. So the Ri is still closer, but I'm just trying to kind of figure out why they might have gone with Re rather than Ri. So there's that. But another example that was brought up in the tweets, and this one has puzzled me too, but they have a little bit of a theory. Sarah is usually written Sera, right? Se.
It's usually Sara, isn't it?
But no. So in katakana, it's usually Sera.
I have seen Sera, but usually I think they make it Sara.
So I've seen Sera more than I've seen Sara, but I think one reason for this might be, again, the kind of Sarah. It's like kind of like a schwa, like it's not a Sarah. So maybe like there's that confusion about the vowel. It's kind of like an in-between area, but also Sara means dish or plate. So maybe they're trying to avoid that. So they went with Sera. So it's tricky because the vowels don't translate like exactly, like it's not a 1-to-1, right? So because English has more vowels sounds than Japanese, so they try to shoehorn certain vowels into certain sounds, and to us it's like, no, that doesn't sound right. So but
working
it is
in a pretty international group, it has made me realize like names are wrong like all the time in English speaking environments. Like a person from Mexico named Laura, I can't even pronounce it correctly in Spanish, just becomes Laura in an English speaking environment. And like, I mean, for the most part, it's rare like that
if someone
some people might
saying Laura, people will say Laura back.
Yeah, Laura would be the Spanish, but
I don't know. It depends on the person in the group.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time they just become Laura.
Yeah,
my friend from Spain is David, and English speakers also call him David.
Maybe that's a little bit easier phonetically to pull off than a Laura. And I see I guess it depends on the group. I can't speak for every single English speaker, but like my name, Kyle, in Japanese there's no phonetic equivalent in the Japanese language. So most people end up calling me like Kairu.
Yeah.
Some people might fully commit to Kyle, but I don't expect them to be able to pronounce it perfectly because the sounds don't exist in their language. So unless they've like practiced them, I don't expect them to say it perfectly.
Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, that's the language, and so I mean, I don't expect certain things because that's just how the language works. But even I mean, a lot of these names, it really, like you said, it depends on the environment. Like if you're in an international environment, I think maybe some people might try to say certain names in a more like accurate way. But in a lot of places, if you're speaking to people that don't speak other languages or have never been outside the country or don't talk to people from other countries, they're not going to try that, and they'll just, Juan becomes John or something. It's like they'll just totally Englishify it, and that's what it is.
Miguel, that just gave me a memory. When I was in school, in college, in a communications class, somebody corrected a female student's pronunciation of a Spanish word. And she was like, "Oh no, I say it this way because we speak English," or something, like in the middle of the class. And so those people are out there. They're like, they won't even put in the effort to say it in Spanish.
I haven't encountered that, but I feel like, never mind.
Yeah, those people are jerks, right?
Yeah. I was like, how do I say something negative without it being negative? I feel like most people don't agree with them.
Make it negative because we got to drive those clicks.
We have to dock them. They're next.
They're next, yeah.
Because I've seen that, like, your name is this, well, I'm going to call you this instead. Like, you just come off like a jerk.
Yeah.
That's, Ellis Island right there. So.
I know names can be hard, but I feel like if it's really, really hard, I have met people who like say, don't even try, here's my nickname.
Yeah.
But if they don't give you that permission, at least try.
Yeah. And at least I think it's perfectly fine to say, I'm sorry I didn't quite get that. I'm not sure if I can pronounce that, but I'll try. It's totally fine to just be honest with somebody if that does happen. So, yeah.
I've met a large number of like Chinese or Korean people who like say their name and like, but just call me Mike.
Yeah. I've met a lot of people like that too. Yeah. Okay, so let's do two more. One tweet and then the last one that I wanted to bring up. So let's Kyle, can you pick one of those tweets and then we'll.
I actually have two really quick that I wanted to mention on my own. Mm-hmm. I recently learned ikura is katakana from Russian.
Yeah.
So ikura is salmon roe, and it's from the Russian word for caviar, basically.
I didn't know that right away either. Yeah, that took me a while to learn. Yeah,
I always just thought it was a Japanese word, but
me too. Yeah,
and
especially
the
since
other one
ikura does mean like how much Japanese.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it sounds like a Japanese word. Yeah. The other one, this one got big, I think, maybe from an old like Abroad in Japan video or something. But kalpiss, it sounds like cow piss. It's kind of a funny word. That's actually calcium plus the Sanskrit word for good taste, which is like peas or something.
Right.
So that I thought that was just like a completely made up word, but it actually does come from two loan words.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I started looking up weird names. Almost everything has a story behind it. Epson stands for son of electric printer. Like EP is electric printer and then sun.
Oh,
Electric
wow.
printer sun. Yeah.
I had
don't
never
remember.
heard that one.
Yeah, like if either like its initials, like if it has a weird name, it was originally initials that stand for something they thought sounded good, or there is some story. Like all these random words usually have some kind of meaning.
Mm. Yeah,
Because I always wondered, like, Epson's not a very Japanese sounding word.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would explain how they came up with that.
Yep. And Sony is just, they wanted something really easy to pronounce for foreigners that was simple and like probably easy to remember and like no specific nationality or anything.
That does have
That one
to,
is
that's
one of
why
those.
Toyota became Toyota, is they thought it was like easier for international people to say.
Yep. Yeah, so I think we covered most. There's a lot more of these, and I just want to cover one last one from the specific tweet thread. Ryan, would you mind reading the one about Polish? Just give it your best shot, because I think this illustrates, one of the points that we've been making, but also it's just
Speaking
fun
of Polish, the guest we had for the onomatopoeia one also has a Polish last name, which
yeah, and it's a long, really difficult to read last name.
Okay, so I can kind of try the first one. I have no idea how I'm gonna say the second one. So I've read a manga about Polish history, and there was no way I'd know. Andre, I think, is pronounced Andrzej without it. Okay, I guess so. It's actually Andrzej, even though it looks like Andre.
Yeah.
Or the given name. This has letters that don't even exist in English. So Kosciuszko is Koszko. Oh no, that's a U. It's a weird font. Kosciuszko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Polish has a lot of these, to us, right? They're like native English speakers that are not familiar with Polish. These really difficult to read names, and other languages have the same thing too. But you look at these names and you can't really read them accurately, but then you read the katakana and you at least have a general understanding of how the ballpark, so to speak, right?
Because Kosciuszko, there are counties named after that name, and in English they tend to end up being pronounced Kosciuszko County. I know there's one. I think there's one of those in Indiana or in a nearby state. But really, it's Kosciuszko.
Yeah.
How would you even spell that in the English alphabet? Like phonetically, I don't know. It'd be tough. Kosciuszko.
Yeah. I mean, well, a lot of these like Polish and a few other languages, it'll be like KZCY, and it's just totally different. But in these cases, this sort of katakanization, it can actually be helpful for us if we're reading something about some other country in Japanese, which admittedly is not that often for most of us, but nevertheless,
I do.
It does happen, and some of us do have certain interests that where that happens. But it can actually be helpful. So there you go.
I try to read the news in Japanese whenever I have time.
Yeah. No, I do too, and sometimes I learn something about how to pronounce something. Oh, and here's this one that I remember for the tweets too, that I just wanted to mention really quickly about how it sounds pretty much the same, as close as it can at least, but the meaning can be slightly different. Spicy. So spicy, of course, comes from spicy in English, but it doesn't necessarily mean like as spicy as in like hot, like as in painful hot, that kind of hot, but rather as in like it just has a lot of spices, like a more literal meaning.
I think that might just be because almost nothing is actually spicy in Japan, though.
Sometimes you get a spicy curry. You crank up those numbers like Kokoichi.
So the story I always mention is like it's a little dangerous in Japan because you get used to nothing being spicy, so you'll always ask for like the hottest one. But then like 1 out of 20 times you find a restaurant that's actually spicy and you end up ruining your meal by getting it way too hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Standardize the spice levels. We need to get a work group going at the Ministry of Cultural Affairs.
Yeah, so, if it's like a 1 through 5, sometimes 5 is nothing, and then sometimes 5 is like melting through your plate.
All right, so we'll put in an application in that website you found, Kyle.
Yeah,
and then they'll have to figure out the whole. It'll be like a 4-year long process, but
It's
Maybe they'll figure it out.
bunka.go.jp/kokugo nihongo.
Nice. Okay, so
That's where we'll submit it.
Spicy inhibitor or something. That's what we'll call the proposal.
No, we gotta give it some weird, like, gibberish name, like Undernight.
EXT.
Okay. Wait. All right. So that was all. You brought that up when we were not recording. So really quickly, there's a game called Undernight
In Birth.
Yeah, Undernight in Birth, and we love the wacky English. So that was the point of that. Yeah. But yeah, there's so many of these words. Go check out that tweet thread. I'll put a link in the show notes that you can read all the people, bringing up their funny, interesting katakana words. And again, like, we use the word hate, but I think for the most part, it's more like at worst puzzled, at best, like absolutely like amused, like to like shampoo hat. Like I love that one.
It's a great one.
Yeah. So it's more like, just these words are like, why did it happen this way? It's just kind of interesting for us as native English speakers. And when you look at language in that way, I think it's just super, super fun. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Kyle, for coming back. And thanks, Ryan. So I think, are we all done here? Anything else, guys?
No, I'm good.
All right,
I am satisfied.
Okay, so then until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.